Good evening, all Yiddische Kinder. Shalom Aleichem. I delayed. We sort of made a new schedule. The Maimir, instead of starting at 6, which would be the normal time for starting the Maimir, I made it at 7. I did that because I'm hoping I'll be able to deliver a better shiur. We'll find out soon enough whether that's true or not, right? If I don't deliver a better shiur, then I might as well have done it at 6. I apologize for this all technical stuff. I'm trying to make this happen. Now, the first thing is, this is a Maimir from Pashas B'chukoisai, and we're, of course, already holding Pashas Nosei. The good news and the bad news is, the reality is that we're going to do Nosei for 2 weeks. So Shavuos is Friday and Shabbos. And, of course, this is one of those instances where in Eretz Yisrael, they're going to do Nosei this week. So Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz are going to be staggered, I think, till Matas Masei. I don't know how it works. But for a while, we're going to be reading different parshas. In Eretz Yisrael, we're going to be reading one parsha, and in Chutz La'aretz, we're going to be reading a different parsha. Now, I want to read the beginning of the parsha, B'chukoisai, inside and translate it. Not all of it, just a little bit. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I made a decision, based on the structure of this Maimir, to do the following. We're going to learn a question, and we're going to jump to the answer. After we answer that question, we're going to go back to the next question. We're going to ask the question and give an answer. Ask a question and give an answer. That's how this Maimir is designed. It's back and forth, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. In other words, there's a bunch of questions in the beginning, and then later on in the Maimir, he answers them sequentially, in order, one after the next. So, instead of doing all the questions in the beginning and then saying, remember the question, we're going to learn a question, we're going to have an answer, and that's going to be today, and possibly tomorrow also. Then we're going to have another class where we'll read a second question and answer it, and then a third question and answer it, until we go through all the questions at the beginning of the Maimir, okay? This, of course, is the beginning of Pashas B'chukoisai, where you have Schar V'Einish, right? Gmul. Im B'chukoisai Telechu, if the Jewish people do the mitzvahs of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'es mitzvahsai tishmeru, and they guard the mitzvahs. And of course, Rashi immediately says, since it says mitzvahsai tishmeru haray mitzvahs omor, so therefore Im B'chukoisai Telechu goes on Torah, on a level that's called V'nasati Gishmecha B'ita Shetiyu Amelim B'Teira. You're going to work hard on Teira. V'asisa Meistim, you're going to do them. So Pasuk Dalet says, V'nasati Gishmecha B'ita, I'm going to give you rain in the right time. And there's a Teira Sabal Shem Tov on this pasuk, which is mentioned at the end of our Maimir. That V'nasmati Gishmecha doesn't only mean rain; it means everything that's gashmiistic. V'nasna Aretz Yavula, the earth is going to give you its produce, what it brings forward. It says in the Yishonim that the word Yavula is the word Bia, to bring in, to bring out. Ve'etz Hasada, and the trees of the field, Yitin Pri, will give you fruit. Then it says Vehisig Lochem Dayish Es Bazir. The crop of the previous year that you already thrashed is going to catch up to the batzir, to the harvest. Ubatza Yasig Ezer, and the harvest is going to catch up to the planting, meaning to say that there's going to be so much food around that before the new year grows, you still have from the old crop. Moreover, even when the new year grows and you're planting, for the third year, you're still going to have from the first year. And of course, you can eat your bread to your own satisfaction. And very, very importantly, you're going to be secure, trusted, or in a state of trust in your own lands. I'm going to give peace on the land. You're going to lay, you're going to sleep, totally relaxed, no fear. I'm going to remove all wild animals in the land. And of course, the Ravid brings this as a raya, that la'asad lavid is going to be a shinim and hagish shaleilim, that wild animals are not going to kill anymore. He disagrees with the Rambam. No sword will pass through your land. And of course, as the famous vart is, afilu cherev shel shalom. You're not even going to be in a situation where you have to let one nation that's engaged with a war with a different nation to simply pass through your land with their weapons. You're going to chase your enemies. They're going to fall in front of your swords. 5 of you are going to pursue successfully 100. And 100 of you will pursue 10,000. Of course, Rashi says that this is not proportionate, these two things. 5 to 100 is 20 times as much. 100 to 10,000 is much, much more. Is not 20 times as much, it's 100 times as much. And Rashi explains whatever he explains. V'naflu oivechem lifnechem yucharu. Your enemies are going to fall before you on the sword. Ufanisi aleichem, I'm going to turn towards you. Ve'efreisi eschem, I'm going to multiply you. Ve'ebesi eschem, I'm going to make you many. And of course, Rashi and Bereshit says the difference between Piriyah and Rivya. Rashi says over here, Piriyah and Rivya came as Kufa. And in Bereshit says differently. I'm going to sustain the covenant that I made with you. You're going to eat old produce. This is what I said to you before. And the old crop is going to have to be displaced because of the new one. I'm going to place my tent, my seat amongst you. And it's not going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be hard. I'm not going to be disgusted with you. So Hashem is going to live amongst the Jewish people, and it's going to be comfortable. Vihishalachti, I'm going to walk amongst you. Now this pasuk Yud Beis is the pasuk on which our Maimon is based. So I read the whole sequence, but I'm concerned with this pasuk. Vihishalachti, I'm going to walk amongst you. I'm going to be your God. You're going to be my nation. And then it finishes, I am God, your God. That has taken you out of the land of Egypt from being slaves to the Egyptians. I broke the rods, the poles of your yoke of slavery. And I led you standing up. So our Maimon is going to be on Pasuk Yud Beis and Yud Gimel. That's the Maimon is going to analyze all of these words. But the way the Maimon does it is it asks a bunch of questions in the beginning and seems to answer them sequentially in order. So we're going to permit ourselves to learn it this way. Okay? So here we go. Starting from the beginning. And again, those of you who are following on Facebook, the PDF is up. And those of you who are following on Inside Hasidus, I put the Maimon up. If you'll go to my page, you go to the Maimon page, you go to my Morim, the Morim of the Rebbe, 5738, scroll to the bottom. The second from the bottom is this Maimon Vihishalachti. I put the PDF there already, and you can download it from there and follow it inside. So here we go. The pasuk says, Moshe Rabbeinu was repeating the Eibishter's words, that the Jewish people do what Hashem wants, they're going to get multiple rewards, including Vihishalachti b'derechem, I'm going to walk amongst you. I'm going to be your God, your personal God. You're going to be my nation, my chosen nation. Then it continues with something additional. I am God who is your God. It took you out of the land of Egypt. And then the pasuk continues with the prophecy, which is connected to Mashiach. Which part of these blessings is a reference to what's going to happen after Mashiach comes? I'm going to lead you standing upright, standing strong. Says the Rebbe, we all know the kashes. The pasuk begins, I'm going to walk amongst you. I'm going to walk amongst you. It says in Pashas Truma, you build Hashem a home, and the Eibishter lives in it. What is the diuk Vihishalachti? Here it's written, I'm going to walk amongst you. The question is simple. It already says way back in Chumash Shmois, you're built for Hashem Beis HaMikdash, and Eibishter is going to be sheikh, and Hashem is going to dwell amongst the Jewish people. So what is the new idea that not only am I going to dwell amongst you, I'm going to walk amongst you? What's the chiddush of Vihishalachti? And the second question is the second and more important question in what's the practical lesson? Bahashimush Lakani, in serving his creator, as it says in the Mishnah and the Gemara. The reason Hashem made people as Ani Nivreisi L'Shamish Keni, I was made to serve my maker. So what is the practical instruction from this promise, Vihishalachti b'teichachem, that Hashem is going to walk amongst us? So it's really a simple kasha. It says in Shmois, it says in Truma, V'shachanti b'seichem, I'm going to dwell amongst the Jewish people. And here it says Vihishalachti, I'm going to walk amongst the Jewish people. What's the difference between resting and walking? It's the first question of the first two questions. Now turn to page Shin Vav. And we're immediately reading the answer. Pedic base. Like I said to you, the answers to the other 5 questions we're going to do sequentially, one by one, as we get to them. The answer to all of the above questions. But the way we're learning the Maimer now, we only asked 1 question or 2 questions. What is the meaning of I will walk amongst you, and how is it different than Vihishalachti b'seichem, and what's the lesson from it? It says the Rebbe, based on Amar Alter Rebbe, which are printed in Hanochas Harab, 3rd line, middle paragraph on page Shin Vav, 3rd line, that there is a difference, there is an advantage in the expression I will walk amongst you. Compared to the expression I will dwell amongst you is the following. Then the pasuk I'll dwell amongst you, it simply says Hashem's presence is going to be amongst us. But in no way does it reveal the nature of the Shechina, of Hashem dwelling amongst us. How the Shechina is going to be amongst us. But the word Vihishalachti, I will walk, indicates not stam being amongst the Jewish people, but a certain type of being. What kind of being? And the Rebbe lists 4 points, and they're numeraled 1, 2, 3, 4 in Roman numerals. Number 1. I'm going to be walking, I'll walk around. If the Eibishter walks into your neighborhood and shows up, you're going to get all nervous. By the Yid and the Eibishter are going to walk amongst us. We're not going to think of it, anything of it, because it's going to be normal. Number 2. It's perpetual and fixed, constant. In other words, not just once but multiple times, so that it's completely comfortable and normal that Hashem is walking amongst us. Number 3, and listen to these words. Hashem is walking amongst the Jewish people. It's self-inspired. It's an arousal from above, which is not connected to anything we do, as if it's on his own. I want you to understand, when you read the words, it's very clear that the meaning of these words, doesn't mean the typical idea of Esrusa D'Liela, arousal from above. Because the typical idea of Esrusa D'Liela has a huge chesed, a huge liability. When Hashem gives us things that we don't deserve, they pass straight over our head. In the expression of the Gemara, Asya the Mogin, B'Mogin, Mogin Asya, doctor heals for free, is worthless. If Hashem gives us things unilaterally, umzist, Chinam is not in Kedusha, it's useless, it's waste of time. Here when it says, Isarusa de Liela Vihishalachti me'atzmi, it doesn't mean he's giving it to us for free. We earn it, and we deserve it. But what he's giving us is him. Meaning to say, sometimes you give, and you get back what you earned. Sometimes you give, you get back more than you earned, but indirectly it's connected to what you earned. Sometimes you give, but what you get back is totally different. It's the giver giving himself. It's reciprocating. He's giving back the fact that you gave him. But what he's giving is not proportionate to what you gave him, it's his whole self. And the meaning of the word Vihishalachti means I'm going to give you my whole self. I will walk amongst you. Emphasis on the word I. And that's very profound. The 4th idea is I will walk is written in plural. That the idea that Hashem walks amongst the Jewish people includes every type of walking. In general, there's 2 types of mobility, there's 2 types of motion. Walking from heaven to earth, from up to down, top to bottom. And walking from the bottom to the top. Right? This is Vihishalachti. Vihishalachti means Hashem is going to walk from heaven to earth and from earth to heaven. Just like you'll see later on in the Maimed, the Rebbe is going to discuss that people can walk from earth to heaven. This is tefillah. And people can walk from heaven to earth. This is Teiro. So the Rebbe says, the Eibishter also is going to have 2 walks, from heaven to earth and from earth to heaven. So the Rebbe right away says, I don't understand. When you're talking about a person and you're suggesting that a person can walk in 2 directions, he can walk closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he can walk closer to the world, we can make sense out of that, tefillah and teira. When you're talking about the Eibishter, and the Eibishter, of course the Eibishter is everywhere. But in terms of his revealed presence, he's in a holy world, he's Lamaila, he's on high. So his motion, his movement away from himself is only down, not up. And the frag that Hashem comes down on a mountain. The question remains, what does it mean that Hashem walks and that his motion is from the bottom to the top? This is the kash. Yeah, how could it be that Hashem Vihiluch is twice, double? Vihishalachti means two movements, many halichas, but basically two halichas, and one of them is from earth to heaven. So the Rebbe first talks about the whole business of Hiluch altogether, and he tells you the classic idea of Hiluch. Walking doesn't mean moving from place to place. Walking means going out of what's normal. If a person makes gradual baby steps, they're standing still. Walking is quantum. The idea can be explained by prefacing first, the whole notion of motion, of moving from one place to another. Api Chasidis can move in Memavur Shama, as it's explained in my Maimon. And of course, this is a Maimed from the Alter Rebbe in Hanochas Harap. And then if you look in footnote 12, you see how many other Maimorim are based on it, so you understand the significance of this inyan of Halichem. That motion doesn't seem to move, it means to moving into a categorically different state. It says in the Pasuk, that Hashem says, I'm going to give you movers, those who are in motion, amongst those who are standing still. So the simple taich of it that those who were standing still, the malach, those who are in motion on the Shamas Yisrael, and even though malachim seem to be on a higher and purer level, and Yidden seem to have trouble because of the guf and the nefesh habahamis, the fact is, a Yid is called a mahalach, and dafka and the Shama B'guf is called a mahalach. There's a maimer in Tafresh in Samach Vav, in the maimer of Tafresh Samach Ches by Yigash, where the Rebbe Rashab brings out this whole idea that everything has to do with the challenge, how hard it is. V'yipach ba'apav nishmas chayim, and dafka and the Shama B'gad Lamata becomes a mahalach because it's hard. Shamas Lamal do incredible things, but it's all predetermined, it's all fixed almost. So, to be a mahalach, have to go out of limitations. The Shamas Yisrael Lamata are called mahalchim because they're going out of limitations. And Lamayla, it's not that way. However, so in Malachim, it's not that way. Yesh ben Nisham Yisrael Gufa Shnei Yafani Avoida. Amongst Yidden themselves, there's two methods, or two styles of Avoida. Oifen Echad Shal Avoida, one style of Avoida. Shenikroyim B'Shem Eimdim, they're called standing still. Ve'efen Eisef Shal Avoida, different kind of Avoida. Shenikroyim B'Shem Halchim, they're called being in motion. So in general, Malachim are called standing still, and Yidden are called in motion because they're going out of the limitations. And specifically in Yidden themselves, there's a Yid who's called standing still, Yid is in motion. And the difference is going to be Mesiras Nefesh. And you move in the questions. If you find a Jew who learns Torah and does mitzvahs perfectly, wholly, completely, peacefully, how could you call him b'shem emdim? Standing still. When the fact is that any human being is serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu completely is heilich michayel el choyel, is going from strength to strength. So b'klal meila malacham called emdim, we get that. How could you call neshamas Yisrael emdim? And the teretz says, to be in motion requires kishenetak legamri, and the Rebbe says in Yiddish, in ganz nave completely transported from the previous situation. And he explains, when is a person transported from one condition into a completely different condition, when he's uplifted in a way which is incomparable. So long as he's in motion, but he's making gradual steps, and even when he's in the highest step of Seder Ishtalshalos V'Aliyah, Rabbi, that's the highest level of his avodah. He's always connected to the step before and the step before, till the initial step. There's some proximity, some closeness between them. Not Tanya in the language of the Tanya. If a person is going to compare one to tens of thousands and to myriads of myriads, hundreds of tens of thousands times tens of thousands, as long as you're dealing with finite numbers, there's a certain proximity. Like it's explained in Chassidus, that the number of myriads, murkav, said the Rebbe in Yiddish, stellt sich zusammen, and it's constituted from one and then another one. And then subsequent onenesses. Till tens and tens of thousands of its type. So the Rebbe says, no matter how many steps you're going to have, if there's steps, they're bahadroga. You're having in my Maimon Chassidus a very interesting mashal. What's the difference between a person who walks and jumps? And specifically, what's the difference between a person who walks and who jumps with both legs at the same time? A broad jump. So Chassidus says, if you walk, You always have one foot on the ground. Always. So even though you're lifting up a foot and putting it down, lifting up a foot, all the feet can be traced back to the first step because you never left the ground completely. But when you jump, particularly when you broad jump, both feet are lifted off the ground. And philosophically, when you land, it's a new earth. So if you're walking from step to step, that's oimid. Because as long as you're going in a gradualistic way, if you can go backwards to the beginning, that's always connected. Mashenka when you jump. So the Rebbe says that's why a Yiddish avoida shayches amido, a Yiddish serving Hashem, and it's called standing still, because he's not making quantum steps. He's just moving gradually, even if it makes tens of thousands of steps. And he continues, v'rak b'ligavol, only when there's a person traversing from one place to another through an infinite chasm. Who in Shalei Be'erech, that's called incomparable l'gabei gvul, compared to limitation. The Tzemach explains in his book on philosophy that when you're talking about finitude and infinity, the greatest finite entity, infinity is incomparable to finitude. We can't compare them at all. So b'meila kumta, it's not just malachim and neshamis, but neshamis and neshamis, the neshama that's called the noimid, the neshama that's called standing still. And that's a neshama that's making steps. But you can trace back step Z to step Y to step X to step Y and so forth. And then you have a dilug, which is Shlei Be'erech, that's called the Mahalach. And the Rebbe continues, and Yiddishkeit is the same thing. That Shagam, Kisha Eisa, there's B'tachas HaShleim Sabidin, the Shulchan Aruch of a person does Yiddishkeit completely according to the Shulchan Aruch. Says the Rebbe Vafil if Nimi Shurazadin, even if he goes beyond the letters of the law, Hine Legabi Amita Sinyan Alicha B'ligavol, compared to the true notion of quantum change or infinity, Yikare Adayin B'Shem Eimer. That Jew who's growing is called standing still. If you say there is moreover, this is a Moed in the Kavod. Vishamatzi, the big Gemara Mesachas Brachas, the Gemara says in Brachas. But there's a difference between the first Bracha of Shmoneh and the second Bracha of Krishma. The first Pasha of Krishma and the second Pasha of Krishma. In the first Pasha of Krishma, it says, "V'havtasa Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavecha b'chol nafshecha b'chol meidach v'ro yamait." And in the second Pasha, it's only b'chol levavecha. It doesn't say u'b'chol nafshecha. It doesn't say b'chol meidach. B'chol levavechem b'chol nafshecha. Says the Rebbe, the reason for this is b'negei la Pasha shniya de kriya shma. When you compare the second Pasha of Krishma, be'erech ha'aved the Pasha rishenu when compared and contrasted to the first Pasha of Krishma. Shabbat nemer gam b'chol meidecha, because in the first Pasha of Krishma it says v'ro yamait b'chol meidecha. There's a Gemara for somebody to be considered somebody. That is called Oyser Tzena Shamakim, and you'll see later on, Oyser Tzena Shamakim doesn't mean you do what God wills. Oyser Tzena Shamakim means you have the power to create a new will in Hashem. That's such Oyser Tzena Shamakim. Says the Rebbe, Loidai Ba'aveda. It's not sufficient if you're serving Hashem. Even if it's Be'efin the Shemaya Tishmom Kol Mitzvahs, you're keeping all the mitzvahs. Only on the highest levels, with the simple reading of the pasuk. Only when you serve the Hashem at the level of all your might, when a person serves the Hashem level of nefesh, this is when they call them a halach. So the Gemara is saying almost in effect that b'chol nafshcha is called oimid. Only b'chol meidach is a mahalach. And it's called Oyser Tzena Shamakim. I always tell you this when I get to the sugya of Terasei Nasi. Terasei Nasi is part from Tefillah. Terasei Nasi pshat Oyser Tzena Shamakim. In other words, Terasei Nasi doesn't mean a yid who sits and learns Torah a lot. Terasei Nasi means the yid who learns Torah and the Torah gives him panos. For you to learn Torah, for Torah to give him panos, this is a very special Indian. Rabbi Shimon Yochai was zeicha, his son was zeicha, but most people are not zeicha to this concept of Terasei Nasi. And it's the bittul to the Eibishter on a level of B'chol Meidecha, which causes that there should be B'lachtach on us side the Acherim. But for most people, if you serve Hashem with your whole heart, the Yitzhak Yitzharat is also a big madreg. When you serve Hashem with your whole heart and even your whole body, it's a gewaldike madreg. B'chol nafshecha. But to serve Hashem on a level of Mesiras Nefesh, where you're creating in Him a new will, Eisem and Tzena Shamakim, which is B'chol Meidecha, this is very rare. But the explanation is the key. If a Jew serves Hashem and the service has a limitation, meaning it lacks Mesiras Nefesh. Even if the reason he has no Mesiras Nefesh is not because he's lazy, but because he doesn't need it. Because of his nature, because of his service. He finds himself in a condition that in order for him to do mitzvahs, this year does not require mitzvahs nevish at all. So whatever the reason is, if a yid is not being meisei nefesh, it's not called avodah. Harehu, even a person who's working as hard as he needs to serve Hashem, and there's no place to work harder because he's working his maximum, the fact remains, he's only on a level that is worthy for the Shekhinah to rest in him. There's no emphasis on Vihishalachti b'seicham, they have movement. And as the Rebbe said in the beginning of the Maimed, that's the difference between the word Vishachanti and the word Vihishalachti. Shachanti means I'm going to be amongst you. And that's it. Vihishalachti means I'm be amongst you as a reaction to your hiluch. Your hiluch has gone gara medida v'agbala. They b'shigis l'malam medida v'agbala. V'lachein, and therefore turn the page Shin Chesna. This kind of service is called standing still, as awesome and lofty as it is. It says in the pasuk in Melach, it goes when Yob and the other swears, I swear that in front of whom I stood. And of course, there's two ways of looking at this standing. L'mayusa, standing means bebitl, and the bechasar understanding means I'm not moving from place to place. The Yiddu standing on a level where he's standing in front of the Kis Yaakov, which is, of course, Medida Vagbala. It's limited, even though it's Medida Vagbala. Nevertheless, it's called standing still. Why? Because he's not serving Hashem on a level of Mesiras Nefesh. He's not serving Hashem on a level where he's going out of a limitation. The same is true us human beings, physical people in physical bodies, who serve Hashem with help of an Hashem. It's possible that Avodah Hashem should be b'shem amid. That's called standing still. Compared to serving Hashem on a level which is called b'all your might. So Amida doesn't mean I'm doing nothing. Amida doesn't mean I'm not even growing. Amida means whatever growth, whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm growing at is, relatively speaking, Amida, because I'm not serving Hashem at a level of Bligavul. The Ilu, on the other hand, 5 lines from the top of page Shenches, Inyan Shel Alicha Mitas true motion, which is Shenet Tak Legamin, the Rebbe says in Yiddish, Ergeten Gans Navek, one totally departs. Mimadegos Yaki Demes Mazulia level, Bishleimas Hakadusha, which is of perfection of holiness. In a way which is incomparable. He's not just doing a little bit more, he's going to a whole other level. Says the Rebbe, that's serving Hashem with all your might, beyond any measure and limitation. And this is the Madrega of B'chol Meidecha. This is the Madrega of Eisem Mitzeni Shalmakim. This is the Madrega which is Zoiche to Hiluch. As we saw before, Shafilu Ribi Riveves. Even myriads of myriads. It's an incredible number. It's a very great number, says the Rebbe. You cannot compare it to the idea of the Ma'alam Did of Akbala as something which is truly infinite. Something which is truly infinite is called Halicha. And without that, you're called Amidim. So not only is it true that you call Malachim Eimdim, and the Shamas Yisrael Mahalchim amongst them, and the Shamas themselves, regular the Shamas are called Eimdim, and certain the Rebbe, of course, made this to sound like an apple pie, like everybody's holding by it. Anybody can be holding by Mesiras Nefesh and noise. These are very, very high anyonim. That every minute of my life is with a Mesiras Nefesh. And he continues, says the Heilige Rebbe, and he says, I said this before, that he finds it in Mishnah in Chazal that there's something called doing the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, of course, the opposite of Eisem B'Tzein Shamokim is Ein Eisem B'Tzein Shamokim. But over here, that's not what it means. It's not like Eisem B'Tzein Shamokim means I'm doing the will of Hashem, or Ein Eisem B'Tzein Shamokim, I'm not doing the will of Hashem. It's the pshat Eisem B'Tzein Shamokim means I'm creating a new will. Ein B'Tzein Shamokim, I'm following his lead. Says the Rebbe, only the first parish of Kedishma. It says which is the Madrega of Eisem B'Tzein Shamokim. The question is, it's very hard to understand. In the second parish of Kedishma, you're talking about an amazing person. He does mitzvahs on a level where he is listening to the mitzvahs. Even if it lacks b'chol meidecha, we're doing what Hashem wants. and we're doing B'tachas HaShleimus in the highest level. So what's the pshat? Ein Eisem B'tzei Neshama Mokum. Achabir, but the teretz is Shapir, there's the Eisem B'tzei Neshama Mokum. Who the meaning of these words doing the will of Hashem is not doing it, but rather Shepelim ve'Eisem. There it says in Yiddish men macht uf es rasen hamokum be'even sheyes l'chadash. Hashem has 613 mitzvahs, and we do His mitzvahs. When you serve Hashem on the level of Yechida, on the level of Rashbi, on the level of Terasei Nosei, you're doing the same mitzvahs, but each time you do it, you're doing it with such an echos that it creates in Him a new will. So Chas v'Sham, the Torah doesn't change. The Torah is Zul Tiyem Ochlefes, but it's a Tzeinis Chadashim and echos because of the kavanah of this Eisa mitzvah. B'duk is Maimed HaGemara similar to what the Gemara says. Shafi Lu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Gezeir M'vatla B'Shvila Tzadik M'vatla B'Gezeir Sev HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moreover, Hashem makes the decree and the tzaddik, and the tzaddik makes the decree, the to listen. So we see the keich of a tzaddik. And when a yid serves Hashem and Madrig, which is called Eisem B'tzei Neshama Mokum, then he could, so to speak, change Hashem's will. Hashem wants to do something and He stops it. Hashem doesn't want to do something and He makes him do it. To cause Hashem to, so to speak, change His mind and give us something He wasn't planning to give us, or not to give us something that He was planning to give us, we have to go out of our limitations. And this is only when we do the avodah of tshuva, to save this one who's precious from this one who is lost. Now, B'Pashtus l'hoyt Yaakov Mizel means to makar of another Jew. In this maimer, l'hoyt Yaakov Mizel means to serve Hashem in ourselves on a level of tshuva, Mesiras Nefesh, Nisyenis, and of course, like the Rebbe says in the Leda Maimorim, Al Yevesh Mepnei Amaligim, not caring what anybody says is also in from Mesiras Nefesh. And it's called Laheiti Yaakov Mizel. Of course, the Chiddush is that we're using this expression, Laheiti Yaakov Mizel, when we're talking about not a person who's being Makar of a Yid who's far away, not by a person who's doing tshuva, simply by the virtue of his own personal avodah, which means that his avodah is on the level of Mesiras Nefesh. Eisem B'tzei Neshama Mokum, as if he's bringing a person to tshuva, even though there's nobody to bring to tshuva. You understand? Ha'is Yaakov Mizel means to bring a person to do tshuva. This person didn't do any aveda; it's not really bringing him to tshuva, but it's called that. When you're talking about a person, and you're describing a person that he should serve Hashem on a level of Lahoyt Yaakov Mizel, to bring a person to tshuva. You person on a level of transforming godliness into worldliness. Whether you did it through avoid or you brought it to yourself. But whatever your case is, now that avoid is considered Didav Agbal. Excuse me for a second. I'm standing up for the simple reason that I'm falling asleep. And I don't like to fall asleep in the middle of teaching. It's making me crazy. So I'll stand. Okay, I look funny, I know. But I'd rather look funny and be awake than look good and be sleeping. And I know exactly what's putting me to sleep. This light that we use for recording is really getting to me. And I keep turning it off and turning it on. The light is on, but if I'm standing, it'll be a little bit easier, okay? So I'm going to continue reading. In a few minutes, I'll sit back down because I know I must look like an angular anomaly. Looks funny. The way I'm, the lowest part of my body is the largest, and as you go further and further away, I get smaller and smaller and narrower and narrower. But I just don't have a choice. You know what? Let me see this. Listen to this. How about this? Oh, this is an option. That works. Yeah, let's do it like this. So now I'm actually standing, and I look normal. And I'm going to do this because I don't want to fall asleep. So the Rebbe says, Oisem B'tzei Neshama Mokum is like a tzaddik who could create a gezerah where the Eibishter didn't have one. Or could be mevatel a gezerah where the Eibishter made one. And this is comparable to Lahoyt Yaakov Mizel, to save a soul, the idea of tshuva and Mesiras Nefesh. Says the Rebbe, page Shin Ches, middle paragraph, 6 lines from the end. Shinyon Ibn Egel Yatzmei, how would you explain this in a person's own personal service? Says the Rebbe, you are holding on a level where you're not even fighting with Yetzer Hara anymore. You're transforming Klipa de Gedusha. Because this is where you're holding through effort. Hashem made you that you start your life as a tzaddik on the level of his hapcheh. but it's called Amida. It's called Ein Eitzim Mitzayne Sham Makom. It's not Lahaisa Yakum Izela. Because your Zoilo is in such a high level considering the Yakar that you're on. In Allah about that going forward, Avidasa Yid serves Hashem Ba'ifin in such a level, it's as if he's doing tshuva, as if he's stealing a spark from Klip and bringing it to Kedusha. One should reach a level of preciousness which is complete. To such an extent, Shadarga should lift into the level before. The Kras B'Shem HaHafchi has the extremely opposite name, Zoilo, disgusting. Bedugmas for Amal we discussed before, Shagam Gavola Yesir Godel. That if a Yid is serving Hashem on a very high level, but it's limited, it can't be compared to what's called infinity. To go from finitude on the highest level to infinity is called Yakum. What the Rebbe is trying to describe basically is a tzaddik doing tshuva. If you're about tshuva, so you can make a leap. When you make a leap, you can say that you made a movement infinite compared to your earlier situation, which could be called mahalach, in motion. But if you're a tzaddik, you say there's something called oisem mitzayne shamakim, that in Sitkis itself there's so many levels. Until the level where you're creating a new will in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like tzaddik geizev HaKadosh Baruch Hu, makayim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, geizev tzaddik mevatel. So what he's trying to describe is that a yid, who's the madrega of tzaddik, achieves somehow the mile of being about tshuva. Of course, the problem with this is that every child knows the Gemara brings two opinions in Berachos, but the Rambam paskins and the Zayir paskins and Chassidus certainly paskins that about tshuva is higher than a tzaddik. And I put it in the footnote on your margin. The Mokum Shabbat tshuva aimed him to do Gemurim and Mechil Lamed Shamet about tshuva. Tzaddik can stand real about tshuva is. He doesn't and he can't. Why? Because about tshuva is running away from evil. A tzaddik is running towards good. You can't run to good with the same thrust as you run from evil. Here, the Rebbe describes a Yid who's a tzaddik, but he's reaching a level of B'chol Moedecha, which is called Oisim Ritzoynei Shalmakim, that makes his tzidkis on a level of Yahaitza Yakum Mizel. And of course, you scratch your head and say, how could this be? So, before you say what the answer to the question is, the point that the Rebbe is making is that's the Pshat Mahalach. Being in motion versus standing still doesn't mean literally I'm not moving from my place. It means serving Hashem in a way where my growth is gradual versus serving Hashem in a way where my growth is quantum, is transcendent, is infinite. And then your person becomes a mahalach. So the Rebbe says, V'shachanti b'seicha means Hashem dwells amongst us. Vihishalachti b'teicha means He's amongst us in a way that's constant and repetitive and comfortable. And He Himself is lachti ba'atzmi. The etzem of Elokus is in the world, and it's not in a way that it's cheap and superficial. It's earned indirectly, and therefore it's real. And there's the two types of hilach: lamata lamaylo and lamaylo lamata. As the Rebbe said on page Shin Vav, and then a kudah that the Rebbe just explained is that hiluch means quantum motion, moving from one place to another, which is quantum separated from the level before. And the Rebbe indicates that it could even be by tzaddikim. The way I read these words is that he's describing, in effect, what Chassidus brings down supposedly, or allegedly, or presumably, or apparently in the name of the Zayah, that Mashiach is going to make tzaddikim do tshuva. This Maimon describes that a mahalach is a tzaddik who's doing tshuva. And so on. So now, we had a question. What is the meaning of Vihishalachti? We answered it right away. Vihishalachti means Hashem is amongst us. Vihishalachti means He's amongst us in a revealed way, in a constant way, in a comfortable way, in an integrated way. And then the Rebbe said, how are you zoiche to Vihishalachti? You didn't build a Beis HaMikdash, it's Vihishalachti. But that doesn't mean Vihishalachti, it means Vihishalachti. You didn't build a Beis HaMikdash, so the Eibishter rests amongst us. A Yid serves Hashem on a level of B'chol Meidecha, Eisa B'tzei Nishal Makam. That's the Maimon. So we understand the difference between the bracha in Pashas Truma and the bracha in Pashas B'chukaisa. In Pashas Truma, the bracha is that Hashem will live amongst the Jewish people in one way or another. And in Pashas B'chukaisa, the bracha is that Hashem should be an Even of Hilach, where He's amongst us and He's comfortable and He's constant and so on. Sure. So far, we just explained the word Hilach. But now comes the next step. Yeah? Once we know what Hiluch is, Vihishalachti is Lashon Rabbi. The Rebbe said there's many different types of motion. And in general, there's two types of motion. What are the two types of motion? The Rebbe says from the bottom up and from the top down. So on the bottom of page Shin Ches, Shin Tes, and most of Shin Yud, he's going to explain these types of motion as it is by the Eibishter Kvayachol. On the bottom of Shin Yud and Shin Yud Aleph, he's going to explain these two types of motion as it is by a person. Okay? So again, we explained the difference between Vihishalachti and Vihishalachti, and then we want to explain the two types of Hiluch, first of all, as it is by the Eibishter. Okay, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Maybe it's Pedek Hey. Bottom of page Shin Ches Dalet. Vapi Masha Koso. We all know what says in Chasidus in the name of the Maggid and the Baal Shem Tov. Da Mala Ma'ila Minoch. You should know that everything that is on high is from you. The literal translation is Da Mala Ma'ila Minoch. Know what's higher than you. So the Alter Rebbe brings it in the name of the Maggid, and apparently it's also in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. Da, you should know. Mala Ma'ila, everything happening over there, Mimcha. Mimcha, it all happens by us. We create Lamaila. V'echal is a mirror. Whatever happens on high Mimcha, it all comes from the person. From the person's work down here. Move when it's there for indicative. And based on the service that a person does. That's how Hashem treats us. So the Shaila then becomes, what are we doing that's considered Beizei Fanei Hiloch, which causes Lamaila Beizei Fanei Hiloch. In other words, the basic idea of Halicha, we understand that you're making a leap, which is Shalei Be'erach. How is this by the Eibishter? Or Klolos, Inyan with the idea is as follows. Okay, so I did get ahead of myself. I have to apologize. The Rebbe is not talking yet about the Beizei Fanei Hiloch. The Beizei Fanei Hiloch is Pedek Hey. Here, the Rebbe is simply talking about the etzamiyan of Hiluch. Hiluch doesn't mean I'm moving from place to place. Hiluch means a quantum jump, right? B'chol meidecha. How is it by the Eibishter? So I'm sorry, I sort of got ahead of myself. How do you explain by the Eibishter Hiluch versus Amidah? There are things that happen on high. There are occasions that we do good and we get rewarded based on our good. Like it doesn't the Gemara the way a person measures, he's measured. Which is of course a Chazal, it's a Mishnah, Masechta Seita, which we learn during the days between Pesach and Shavuos. That's measurable. That's not quantum, that's gradual. This means certainly anytime Hashem gives a bracha, it's going to be more than we deserve. We get more than we deserve, more than we gave. Nevertheless, the bracha of Hashem is a little bit more than what we deserve, but it's relative to what we deserve. Like the comparability, the comparison between one and many. We give one and we get back 1,000 or 10,000, but it's all relative. It's all measurable, and therefore it's considered Amidah. There are occasions when Lakus gives, which is a quantum jump. The Eibishter jumps over. Says the hey, look at Rabbi Vinyan, so this is achieved. A person jumps, and the Eibishter jumps back. In other words, until this Pedek Dalet, we talked about the inyan of Hiluch versus Amidah in a person. And Hiluch doesn't mean to walk. Hiluch means to jump in a quantum way from one condition to a whole nother condition, which is called B'chol Meidecha, Eitzim Etzei Shamakim, and L'Heitza Yakum Mizelu. And then the Eibishter responds in kind. And that's what Pesach is. Hashem jumped over. Whatever the word jumped over means, but the Teichen is it's L'mayla Medida V'Agbal. Hashem jumps because we jump. Shemedalek, and the Rebbe says, Yiddish spring Taribe, the Eibishter jumps over Me'aveda the Pasha Shniya Shal Kriyashma, instead of relating to us, based on a service which we use to relate to him, as it is in the second Pasha of Kriyashma, Le Pasha L'Sheina to the first Pasha. Even though it says in Chasidus Shakriyash Mabeklalus when you're not Mesiras Nefesh, all of Kriyashma Mesiras Nefesh, they state in the Ma'amesherish Mitzvah Tefillah. However, that Gufa still specifically, Yesh Pasha Shniya, Pasha L'Sheina. There's a big difference in the second Pasha and the first Pasha, that in the second Pasha it only says B'chol Avavachem and B'chol Nafshachem, it doesn't say B'chol Me'edachem. Biklalus says the Rebbe, "My midas atzmei, a person stands himself in b'dargas haveda the b'chol meidecha, an infinite service of Hakadosh Baruch Hu." So when a yid serves Hashem in a limited way, so then this v'shachanti b'seich. When a yid goes from serving Hashem in a limited way to an infinite way, which is considered a quantum leap, Aidei is a pale. A yid's effect is as follows: that be'inyin v'shachanti b'seich. That of course Hashem dwells amongst the yid when a yid serves Hashem on any level. Because the yid is now serving Hashem on a level of Mesiras Nefesh, Shenasa be'eifin Vihishalachti b'teichachem, Hashem walks amongst us, which is He gives us infinity. In other words, Shegam Eitel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by the Eibishter, reciprocally, it happens. Nasa inyan shalalicha, there's a notion of motion. Kavayachal, so to speak, be'eifin shlei be'erech klal, in a way which is incomparable altogether. Begila l'kuz guf, Hashem could reveal more, Hashem could reveal less, but you could measure the difference. And then Hashem could reveal it in one way, and Hashem could reveal it in a different way, which is quantum separated from the level before. And the ultimate example of quantum separation from one possible Gila Lakus to the other possible Gila Lakus, Vad Lagilia Atmos, revelation of the Eibishter himself, Shadafka Hu Nikah B'Shem Alicha, that's called real motion, the Gabi Kola, Dargez, Vagiluyim, Va'adas, Vashpos, to all of the steps and revelations and lights and flows, Shari Lefneze, which came before. So this Pedic Dalet, which is a short little Pedic, is the Nimshal for the Moshel. In Pedic Gimel, we talked at pretty great length by a person, the difference between standing still and being in motion. Now the Rebbe says, the Eibishter responds that Halicha means he's not just giving us a little bit more, giving us an altogether different light, and ultimately it's in Nevatzmas. So far, all we explained was the difference between Halicha and Amida. Yeah, you build a base on Mikdash, you do mitzvahs on whatever level, you serve Hashem on a level of Mesiras Nefesh, you're Zeichet Hiloch, and your hilach caused a reciprocal hilach from the Eibishter. And what I said before in the beginning of Peirik Dal really belongs now. I got ahead of myself. What's the next step? Once we establish the difference between Alicha and Amida, and we establish the difference between Alicha and Amida as it is in Avoida, and that is it is Lamaila, we move on to the next thing, which is Beizei Fani Alich. We talk about the Eibishter being in motion, which means jumping shalei be'erech. And kvayachal, a person, lahavdul, jumping shalei be'erech, there's two types. Alicha mamayla maita, the walking, which is from the top down. Alicha mamata lamayla, walking from the bottom up. And of course, the Rebbe asked the kasha for Indian, but the idea is, come omal siv beis shalech eirein shayach leimis lakadosh baruch hu, halicha mamata lamayla, klotz kasha. You talk about Hashem going from place to place. So the moment you put him into place, you're conditioning him based on his revelation. Because Hashem is Lamayla Mimakim and all the other things, Malam Isman. So if you're conditioning him in a certain space, which means a certain revelation in conjunction with space, he's high and he's coming low. How do you have a concept of his being low and going high? And I want you to know that I saw this same kasha in a different signin in the Ner Chanukah Mem Gimel, where the Rebbe says Atzmas is Lamata, only in this world. But because in order to get Lamata, you have to pass by all the Elam Esal Yenim, so by association, Atzmas is Lamaila as well. Here he's metaying to a Maimed in Reish Nun Ches, page, footnote 48. Taf Reish Nun Ches, page Lamed, and I will admit, I never learned this Maimed. I took it out to learn it, and I didn't have a chance. Where the Rebbe says that the first the Gili happens here, and then it happens Lamaila. There's two kinds of Alicha by the Eibishter. And later on you'll see two kinds of Alicha by a person. The two kinds of Alicha by the Eibishter is how he walks from heaven to earth, bringing light from heaven into the world. And he walks from earth to heaven. What is that? He's here first and there second. Because of the principle of Dira B'Tachtein. Let's read it inside. It says that Rabbi Yuvan, Rabbi Mashkas, Midrash Razal, based on the Midrashim which are explained by the Frierdiker and Maimer of Lula, skip the parenthesis, when the Eibishter created the world, the Shechina was here and not there. He said, then of course there was an interruption. But what follows is Yeshna Vedas B'nai Yisrael. It becomes the job of the Jewish people, Lifra, to influence Shatach Zed, it should return, that the Shechina should be first here and then there. But to be sure, when the Shechina was here and the Shechina left, and we have to bring Ikar Shechina back down, it's going to be Be'efan Ala Yesem Mikmei She'elam Ameloi Nivra. When we bring the Ikar Shechina back down into this world, it's not just going to go back to how it was original, it's going to be on a higher level. At the end of this Maimed, the Rebbe is going to revisit this whole question of Chet and Tikkun HaChet. He's going to say a similar idea, that it's Yiridat Seirech Aliyah. The second idea of Ikar Shechina is going to be hard than the first idea of Ikar Shechina, even as other Machavur and Gan Eden Kedem Achet. Kfi sheyela also love is through Mashiach's coming. Says the Rebbe, the Eibishter was here, and then he left, and then we have to bring him back, and when we bring him back is even higher. When they went here the first time, and how was it achieved? Through our work and through our labor. B'shiyat Alpha should have an Alma during the 6,000 years, which constitutes the time of the world. Obefrat says the Rebbe in Tanya Perek Lamed Zayin specifically b'meshach zman hagos. We're doing the times of Gos and the Sikh for the Rebbe about this as well. Shaideis Nasas Dirali Yisbarach Patachtein. Where does Hashem live? Here. Originally he was here, and we bring him back here. Turn to page and Yud. V'kivan shahadid Allah Yisbarach Patachtein Davka. Since whereas the home for HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Davke in this world. V'lei be'el masalyenim. That Hashem does not live in the higher worlds, and he brings it as in Tanya Hevelhem Yedidim Epon of Yisbarach. The higher worlds before they were created were Helam. And now that they're created, they're Gilui. And Gilui is considered Ha'ara Lagabe Helam. Gilui is considered Tzimtzum Lagabe Helam. Like it says in the famous Klal Godel, which you have in V'yadaita Moskva, it's also mentioned in Tzadik Dalet. Kol Gilui Ha'atzmi is Helam Lagabe Hazulas. Kol Gilui Lagabe Hazulas is Helam Ha'atzmi. So the Elam Etzal Yenim is a Gilui Lagabe Hazulas. Kalim. It's Gilui. So with Yerida, Meir Panav Yisbarach. And you can't say that the Kavanah is V'shvila Yerida. But you could say that Tachtainim, because Tachtainim, before the Eibishter made them, did not exist at all. Nimtza thus, when we serve Hashem in this world. Each kolach at Misal, they were das machshav, they were they call Maisikal, they were machshav. Shakadosh Baruch Hu Yedar B'Tachtainim, Davka Hashem should live Davka in this lowest of worlds. Hine. Ayadeze Nasa Eitzel HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Vihishalachti Milmat Olamayl. The idea that the Eibishter is not just standing but moving, which means a Gilui of Be'ein Areich, until the Gilui of Atzmas happens. And one of the ways it happens is that from here to the Ilmis Ha'yenim, Milmata L'mayla. Why? And of course, Neisef Alicha Mayla, Mata Ki, Aidei Adira Le'yizbarach Ikashim Tachtainim. Hashem lives here. This is the point and purpose. Nasa Teisves Ed B'chol Ilmis Ha'yenim. After the Eibishter's Dira B'Tachtainim, then the Dira B'Tachtainim also happens in the higher worlds as well. Gam Be'elam Ha'yenim. Says the Rebbe, it starts from here, because this is the Kavanah, Dira B'Tachtainim. So the Rebbe's kasha was, how do you have two kinds of halicha? How Hashem is descending from heaven to earth, and Hashem is rising from earth to heaven. When we serve Hashem at a level of halicha, which was Mesiras Nefesh, and the answer is from heaven to earth is obviously, you do good things, the Eibush comes into the world. And from earth to heaven, as we make a Dira Le'yizbarach B'Tachtainim, which causes that after this Gilui Atzmas here, this Gilui Atzmas Neil Masalyin. V'kivan sha'in Vihishalachti b'seichechem kol shuram inyan da'esim ritzei nishal mokem. Stop. Let me just pause here. In this Pedic Hey, which is a pretty short Pedic, the Rebbe explains not only the idea of Hiloch by the Eibishter B'Klal, but the idea by the Eibishter that there's two Hilochs. Hiloch Mumayla Lamata, means Hashem reveals light from heaven to earth, which is common sense. But also Hiloch Lamata Lamayla, that first Hashem is here, and then the Ilmas Al Yenim, because of Dira B'Tachtainim. Now the Rebbe is going to say how this is by a person, or to say this in different words. The Rebbe asked, what's the Pshat Mahalach, Vihishalachti versus Vihishalachti? So first he explained Mahalach by a person, then he explained Mahalach by the Eibishter. But when he got to the Beis Fani Alichas, he first explained the Beis Fani Alichas by Yolakus, and then he explains the Beis Fani Alichas by a person. And of course, we can fragna kasha sicher da teretz. So now he's talking about the two Fani Hilach by a person. We keep mentioning Vihishalachti b'seichem kashim in the Eisim Shteni Shal Mokem idea CS Adam. Whereas the idea that there's two kinds of movements from the top down and from the bottom up is accomplished through the efforts that a person does on a level of Eisim Shteni Shal Mokem, which is B'chol Meidecha Malak Tanasa Diachedim, the creating in Urat and Deibishter and so forth. That movement is understood. Third line into the middle paragraph on page Shin Yud. Shekshem she'in yimislachte b'techem yitzalak kadosh baruch hu yishtei alichas klali. Just like by the Eibishter, we describe two different types of motion. Milmayla lamata milmata lamayla. From heaven to earth, Hashem brings light into the world, and from earth to heaven, Hashem sits in the lowest realm, and from here it radiates light to the realms above. It says that Rebbe hinigama siyas ha'adam, and the Yidzav Voida, which affects these Beis Fani Alicha, Tzarech Liyas, Shtei Halichas, Klali is also two kinds of motion. Again, the way the Maimed is structured. First, he talked about the Alicha of a person, and from the Alicha of a person, he talked about the Alicha of a Lakus, And once he established Alicha Balakus, then he talked in Alakus Beizeh Fani Alicha, and now he's going Beizeh Fani Alicha in a person. Aval. Move on, the words are circled. However, it's understood. Shesh Chilik B'neim. When you speak about two motions by Alakus, and two motions by a person, they're opposites. The key even Shemamadi shall Amadi Amatzal Vishalish Yisraelu Be'evish Nitin Leitedo Mitzvahs Dafka Beis and Shama Baguf. We were given Yiddishkeit here. The Shama shouldn't have to be. So by a person, first there's Malmata Lamaila, and then there's Malmaila Lamata Hine. Etzle Ba'at Chila, by a person, the first Hilach, the first going out of all limitations, is Alicha Malmata Lamaila, first we go out of all limitations from the bottom up. Only afterwards, Alicha Malmaila Lamata, we go from top down in a way of Alicha. Mercedes Nefesh, B'ligavul, Leisi Yaakov Mizel, and so on. Avol Ben Higel HaKadosh Baruch was the other way around. In Shem Shabamatan Teda, the way the Eibush gave us the Teda, Yotchila, the first thing was Vayerida the Shem Alav Sini. Heaven came down to earth, and only afterwards was the Meisha Omar Ale'ala the Shem, and of course included in the Meisha Omar Ale'ala the Shem, I guess, this idea of Dira B'Tachten, the worlds are lifted up. Kach Gam Bam Shoch, Vihishalachti B'Teichachem. The idea is also when the Eibush walks amongst us in both ways. Which has to do with the Yid service HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yesh Netchila Hilach Mamayla Lamata. By the Eibush, first he comes from heaven to earth. Vayerida the Shem. Well, as a hilach mulmata lamayla, then kvayachol the Eibushter ascends from the lowest level, where the dira b'tachtenium takes place, and the atzmas is, and his magala atzmas lamayla as well. And of course, this is different. Like my person is backwards, because by a person first it's meish amma alei Hashem, first is aliyah mulmata lamayla, and then aliyah mulmayla amshacha mulmayla lamata. So the Rebbe is saying that everything you have lamata, you have lamayla, but equal and opposite, inverse. By a person first you raise yourself to heaven, and then you bring heaven down. But the Eibush, first he lowers himself into this world, and then he raises the world up. But, notwithstanding the chiluk and the seder, in both cases, not only do you have the difference between Alicha and Amida, you have what's called Beizeh Fani Hila. And the Rebbe is going to explain. Bottom of Shin Yud. V'ha'inyin hu, the Pshat Zazay. The explanation is by a little bit in Machzah Shekel. There's a Maimer that the Rebbe said 100 pages before in this Sefer, Tafshin Lamed Ches. What Machzah Shekel. It's a classic Maimer. That the two halves make a whole. The way it serves Hashem is that is alicha malmata lamayla, an ascent from below to above, or malmayla lamata, and a descent from above to below, or beklalos, and in general, the ascent from bottom to top is tefillah, prayer. Like it says in the pasuk and explained in Chassidus based on the Zayah, sulam mutzavah, the ladder first sits on the ground, and the purpose of the ladder being on the very lowest level of earth is. Which his head should reach into the highest heights of the heavens. So by a Yid's avoida, first is Malmata Lamayla, and then Malmayla Lamata Lachar is Halicha Malmayla Lamata, which is Teda. So Tefillah is an ascent from the bottom up, and Teda is bringing down. Sheyada Mamshech Ha'adam Dvar Avaya, through this a Yid brings down Teda. Dvar Yashas Antificha Halei Kei Dvar Ke'esh Malmayla Lamata, from the top down, just like by Matan Teda, that after Mesha came up to heaven, the Eibush came down on earth. So by the Eibush, first he comes down, then he goes up. By a person, first he goes up, and then he comes down. And the dogma is tefillah and teda. Now look at the next word. Second line of Chinyat Aleph. The idea that a Yid reads Mikra, and a Yid reads Mishnah, and a Kadosh Baruch Hu Kedeh V'Sheineh Keneged Hashem responds after him. And the way I understand it is, this words, Kol HaKedeh V'Sheineh V'Chulu, this is the Mulmata L'mayla of Teda. I learned Teda, and the Eibush responds to me. That's from the bottom up. Which is why it says the rest of us just like by Matan Teda, we were full of fear. When the Yid learns Teda and the Eibush repeats after him, there should also be fear. But then comes the second step. And the second step doesn't say here. The second step is I think this is the pshat. In other words, when you talk about the Beizeh Fani Alicha by a person, first of all it's Tefillah and Teda, and second of all it's two madregas and Talmud Teda itself. We're responding after the Eibush. I'm sorry, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kedeh V'Sheineh Keneged Hashem is repeating after us. It's the lower level, like Tefillah, and then the higher level is Hashem says and we repeat. But it doesn't say clearly in the Maimer, so it's a shtikel etzarech here. But we move on, fourth line into Shin Yud Aleph. Obeys and Yonim Melo, these two ideas of Tefillah, davening from the bottom up and Teda from the top down, is Ba'ifin Shalicha Dafka. Both of them on a level which is called motion. And just like we explained earlier in Pedic Beis, That alicha means to a degree of b'chol meidacha mesiras nefesh. It's a diluk shalei be'erech. So the Rebbe repeats again, when a yid serves Hashem on a level of shalei be'erech, his life is b'chol meidacha infinite. As the infinity of the Eibush that comes down, so the avodah of the person is on a level of b'chol meidacha, is on a level of hiluch, and the Eibush therefore responds in a way of b'chol meidacha and a hiluch malmayla lamat. Continues the Rebbe, he says, then we bring the Eibush the down. First of all, Hashem gives us back. We serve him with the Mesiras Nefesh, and he gives us back, so to speak, with the Mesiras Nefesh of his own. And look at the next words. When we get back from the Eibush that are hiluch, for our hiluch, it's not connected to our service. This the Rebbe already mentioned on page Shin Vav. He called it Yisarusa D'Li'ela Vihishalachti Meyatzmi. And I mentioned then also that this kind of motion is not a hiluch malmayla lamata without any avoida, which is called chinam, and chinam is klipa. It's the culmination of effort, culmination of avoida. But even though it's the culmination of avoida, what we're getting is so much more than the avoida. Since our avoida is in a way of mesiras nefesh, so the Eibish's mesiras nefesh, which is a reciprocation for our mesiras nefesh, is shalei be'erech. Our avoida is called isarusa d'le'ela mitadat. Like it says in Chassidus. There's so many levels of the idea of an arousal from below which creates a reciprocal arousal from above. There is an arousal from above which is according to how much effort we invested. Right? You invest the proverbial equivalent of $100, you get back spiritually $100. And then there is an avodah where you get back much, much more. Not only are we getting back based on how much effort we put in, we're getting back much, much more than the effort we put in. And even beyond that, the idea that Hashem walks amongst us is in this we're not only Hashem giving us back what we earn reciprocally, not only Hashem giving us back more than we earned, but we earned it reciprocally, indirectly, but we're getting back shalei be'erech. But still, it's never goes like this. You have Esrusa Latata, Esrusa D'Li'ela. And then you have Esrusa D'Li'ela, which is L'mayla, mi Esrusa Latata, Esrusa D'Li'ela. And then you have Esrusa D'Li'ela, which is a third Esrusa D'Li'ela. But even though it's so completely me'atzmei, it only happens when you do a shleimus, which is called Asar Shleim. Behind what this means. In order for Hashem to give us, not what we earned, not more than we earned, but Himself, it's gift for free. But it's not for free, because we make a preparation and a vessel for this. Like the Rebbe says in the bracket, everything is told, skip the bracket. A person achieves a perfection as much as a person can achieve, which is Aveda de B'chol Meilecha, which is Hiluch Ba'aveda, which is Me'ein V'klila Le'inyin V'slachta B'seichem L'mayla Lamat. So there's an interesting anomaly here. Hashem is giving us something which we're not at all a keli for, but it has everything to do with avodah. Because we do Isserus Latata, Isserus D'Li'ela. Then there's Isserus D'Li'ela, which is high, then Isserus Latata, Isserus D'Li'ela. And then there's Atzmos. And Atzmos comes by itself, but it only comes where things are perfect. And the source of this perfection is Oisem Etzeni Shalmokim, is avodah of Hilu. This is why in Parshas Bechukei side that the Eibush is speaking about the brachas and the schar is going to give the Jewish people. And of course it starts, if you're going to learn Teiri Yidu, mitzvahs Hashem is going to give you all kinds of schar, and then it finishes Vihishalachti b'seichach. So he teaches Shepirush, it starts Bolach Le'aschol, the beginning of it is Bechukei side Telechu. You're going to learn Teira in a way of Halicha, and it says in Chazal Shepirush Ti'amelim, but Teira, you're not just going to learn Teira. You're going to work very hard in Teira. Behind you another word, not only does he learn Tate and do mitzvahs according to his own specifications perfectly, Ella rather, the person adds on his own an effort or a toil. He's breaking his nature completely. Like it says in since that's his nature, we have to go out of that nature. So a Yid has to an avoida of Amelim Batoida, and Amelim Batoida is a relative thing. So if a person is already on a level of a Tzaddik Gomer, of Avatanugam, Amelim Batoida means to break that barrier in a way of Hiloch. And then you zeichet to V'halicha Mal Malamat. And he gives a dogma, Ukfisha, Mitzin Ben Nagei Lariz, we find about Arizal Shahol, Yom Mistyageh, Yabelimud, Bataidi he would toil in his learning of Teda. Achi Mazir till he would perspire, and the Rebbe says he should physically sweat. And by Meisha Rabbeinu we find the same thing. It says in Medrash that Hashem's giving the Teda to Meisha, Meisha receiving it was painful. Shoyam Estar, he heard him that he couldn't get it, and so on. Also was a tzar. That's Hiluch. Okay, now I read a little quick. We also read a lot of pages. How much did we read? We read 2 pages. We read 4 pages. We read 6 pages. Yeah? More than half a maimed. It's very arichizdik and it's very poshet. Yeah? The nekuda is the maimed questions. What's the difference between Vihishalachti b'seichem and Vihishalachti b'seichem? And the first answer is Vihishalachti b'seichem happens no matter how we learn Teda and do mitzvahs. Vihishalachti b'teichem is a schar for b'chol meidecha. Specifically, there's 2 kinds of alicha. By the person that's tefillah and Teda, and by the Eibishter that's coming into this world, and then his being here being raised up because the Dira B'tachtenim is Elam Elam Mitzal Yenim. And tomorrow we'll continue Mitzvah Hashem and possibly finish. Thank you for joining us.